Okay, so let's go and see that how we can track this project. We have seen how to set up the option. We have seen how to set our date. We have seen how to prepare a work breakdown structure, estimate and in what terms work or duration, and provide those estimates, define your dependencies, define your resources and assign them to the task, optimize by creating some task calendar, applying them task. Okay, understood the constraint type and understood that we should avoid those constraint type as much as possible. How to label the resources, and now the turn is of how to track these projects and how to report it. So when you track the project, there are 4 ways you can track the project. The first and the simplest way is percentage complete. The second way is to provide the duration estimates. Actual duration and remaining duration. Like by giving duration, actual duration, we can track. By providing actual efforts spent by people, that we can supply. And the fourth in we can give the data on a day-to-day basis, that on each day what people have done on this project and entering those things. Now what happens during this time, that when you take these approach, percentage complete, tracking by duration, tracking by efforts, tracking by providing almost a timesheet type of details, your accuracy level is more. So in a percentage complete, accuracy is low. The duration method, the accuracy is better. In the efforts, the accuracy is even better. And with the timesheet type of data, like even each and every day what people have done on this project, if that is provided, then the accuracy level is very, very high. But the downside is that your efforts increase. So in percentage complete, if you are tracking, your efforts are minimal. If you provide duration, your efforts increase. When you provide work, then your efforts are even more. And if you provide on a day-to-day basis, it's very difficult. Actually, it becomes too tedious for a person to do this and also manage the project. So I will tell you all these 4 ways to how to track the project, and you need to take the approach which is appropriate for you. I mean to say, if your objectives can be met by percentage complete tracking, then this is good enough. Don't put too much efforts if you do not have any objective which need to be which is required that you should track by providing duration or work. If your objective of this project can be met by tracking projects through duration, by providing duration, do not go for work on timesheet basis, because more you go on that side, more efforts you have to spend and more assistance you need. Either you have to provide lot of information, because this is manual tracking we are talking about. If it is a server connection, server related, we don't talk about these methods, because then through the server you can push your project plan to resources, and resources can submit their timesheet and you can get the accurate information. Okay, these methods are not required in a server type of scenario. But when you are standalone managing the project, you update your project manually. Not required. The- that it becomes easier for me to see how this is happening. Now before that, before we start tracking the project, it's important that we baseline the project. What is a baseline? I need to attempt that. What is a baseline basically, and why we need to have a baseline before tracking the project?
We will do the baseline, we cannot go ahead because from that point we say that things are now freeze now. Now onward we can go ahead and start our work. So before doing anything, after doing all planning, this project has to be baseline. And then from there onward we start tracking all the improvements or the work in progress.
If we don't do baseline,
we can check a performance against the baseline.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it is to measure a performance as to where do we stand against the scheduled tasks and what is the performance. So that is the reason baseline helps project manager to identify where is the delay and how a specific task.
And if we do baseline, what is
all the matrix?
And if we don't do baseline, what?
It is like it's the plan and the plus or minus approved changes against the original plan.
Approved plan plus or minus, okay, plus and minus against the approved plan.
Actual, yeah, against actual, compared to actual performance.
Okay, my question is that if we don't do baseline, what will happen?
We'll not come to know which all new tasks are being added due to which there's an impact on the schedule. There could be scenarios where we add additional tasks in the plan which may impact the overall plan as such, or it might affect the end date of the project. But if we don't baseline, we will not come to know what have we added and what impact it has on the plan.
And suppose if we do not add any task, then it's fine.
If we do not add any tasks, there won't be any impact as such. But if there are any changes in the effort estimation for the existing tasks, we can track against what was originally planned.
We cannot do any tracking unless until you do the baseline, because baseline is the place from where you start the tracking. That is the base for that.
What do you mean by, like, from there you start tracking?
All the components, everything start tracking or monitoring from that particular date when you do the baseline.
So what will happen if we do not like baseline?
We won't be able to track from where we are starting.
So when you say will not be able to track, what do you mean by that?
How the performance is going, how we are progressing, what is the productivity, how we are going to collect all the metrics against what, everything.
Okay, I mean to say, uh, uh, why we will not be able to track.
Tracking happens from the particular point. At that point is your baseline. If you don't fix a point, so from here you are going to, so if I started from place A, unless until I put that point A, I will don't know how long I have traveled. So for that I have to fix
It is a starting point.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is a
It is a kind of a starting point against from which you can start comparing the project versus actuals.
the approved plan against the approved plan.
Yeah, so my question is that if we do not baseline, what will happen actually? And if we start tracking the project, suppose we don't baseline and start tracking the project, what will happen?
I guess you won't know where you are going, where you were and where you are going, and it would be out of hands basically.
So you don't know where you have started and when you have started.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
go ahead.
Where you are going, therefore the cost performance, technical baseline, others, it would be out of hands, I guess. It would be uncontrollable.
Okay.
The resources and the costs, material, everything would be out of hands.
Okay.
We won't be able to track anything. Everything will be out of hand unless until we go and baseline it, because that is the starting point. Against that, all the progress, all the performance, all the metrics, everything has to be tracked.
Okay. Okay, I got it. I think you're reaching to the point, and I think the only that specific thing which I'm trying to listen that is not coming up. Actually, you cannot measure the variance.
It's correct. The variance, yeah, that's the unless until that the term should be variance. So against what? This minus this, that is the variance. Very true.
Yeah, right. So you cannot measure the variance. Because you cannot measure the variance, you don't know how much you have deviated from the plan. And basically the baseline will tell you what is your plan to go ahead. You are saying it is a starting point. But what do you mean by starting? Starting point means I have decided that this is the plan I'm going to implement. I have baseline means I'm putting a stamp on that saying that this is the plan I'm going to implement. And then I collect whatever information I collect, I put that in this project plan and measure against baseline, because that was I decided originally, the starting point, right, as you said. So if there is no baseline, there is no measurement, there is no deviation, there is no variance. Even if there is variance, we cannot figure it out because we don't have the baseline, and measurement has to happen against baseline. So I'm especially telling this because baseline is a very, very important point. If we play with baseline, then we are playing with the project, and we will never know if we keep playing with the baseline that where we are going. So baseline has to be firm, because only then we know how much we have deviated, how much are we followed exactly what we planned, If we have deviated, how much and why. That's important. How much we have deviated and why, because this why will answer several questions which will help us to improve, to document lesson learned and make our future projects better. Basic has no meaning. So a baseline is an important thing, because that is the approval, as I think as mentioned, that it is an approved plan. This is a plan which we will track, and we will not make modification in this plan until and unless there is a change in the scope. Only one condition. Only one condition, there is a change in the scope, otherwise baseline cannot change. It has to be firm. And baseline, if you change for any other reason other than this, basically you are playing with the baseline, trying to manipulate the things, and that will nullify your all lesson learned. You're based on wrong measures, therefore to improve your future projects. So baseline is as important as anything else. It's the most important thing before you track. So let's baseline this project plan. And before you baseline the project plan, give me a moment of back. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Right, now to baseline this, what we need to do, we go to the project, go to set baseline and say set baseline. Now if you see here, you have a set baseline, you have the entire project or selected task. Because we are doing the baseline first time, we will do the entire project. Okay, now before we do the baseline, I think let's bring this design approval in line. Okay, because this is something which is still showing. and this is because we are doing its baseline first time, we can do the entire project. Later, if we add some task into baseline, at that time we will use this. Okay, right now we'll just use set baseline, and there are multiple baselines here. We can define up to 10 baselines, but I will tell you the reason for these 10 baseline and real purpose of these 10 baselines. Okay, so say if you say okay, you will hardly realize what has happened, but baseline is set. Now how do you come to know baseline is set? Into this. Okay, anything, this column will change, but values in this column will not change. This, the work column has been copied. If you make changes, this column will change, but this will.
Could you please repeat again? Could you please repeat again?
Yeah, like if you see you have baseline, then what has happened in when we baseline, your start and finish date, start date and finish date of the project and every task, your cost, the work, duration, all get copied into baseline column. Base variance. If these dates changes and these dates do not change, that means there is a difference. If I make it 60 hours, it will 60 hours, but this will not change and it will show a variance of 20 hours. Right? Similarly, if you go to the cost table, these are just views. Basically, all these, the duration data, the cost data, the date, work, that is efforts. Now the comparison will happen between baseline and the total cost, baseline cost and total cost, and the things will come here if there is any variance. Okay. So this is how the baselines are done. Now if we make any changes in the project plan and the project plan changes, which is normally happens, this column will keep showing us the variance. It will keep showing us that how much we have done, spent as of now, and this will keep showing us that how much. So we go back to the track the project now. Now actually we wanted to do this. Let's set the baseline on 2nd of July so that if this changes we will come to know later. So what I will do, I will change the go up advanced tab instead of 28. I make it to 2nd of July. Now it is no more showing anything because now the deadline is 2nd of July, that is the Tuesday. I have talked to all the stakeholders. All are absolutely good. They are happy that I have delayed it 2 days. So I hit my deadline on after these 2 days. If you further delay, it's going to be a problem. Right? So now let's do the first step towards tracking, that is the percentage, using the method of percentage update. Now if you go to the task tab, you will see that you have this 0, 25, 50, 75 and 100%. Right? This means that I am to update these tasks. Now why they are discrete? Why not continuous? Because a percentage complete, if you ask some, go to your resource and ask him or her that how much you have completed, I don't think anybody will tell you 16.5%. Right? Everybody will tell you something like that we have just started, or we are half done, we are about to come close, or we have significantly done. So for capture such kind of subjective data, this is good enough. So you say we have started, we are already doing, you say okay, I made it 25%. You say you have completed half, make it 50%. You may be reaching to the closer, make it 75%. If everything is right, so suppose take an example that we have moved into the project a week. Suppose we have moved into the project by 1 week, and by changing the status date, I will show that where we stand today. So I changed the status date. I have started the project on 20th May, and now I am on 27th May and entering the data for the last week. That is okay. I have updated the project status date, and now I will change this. Right? And so I will go. Maybe I am a little behind the schedule. Okay. We have on first Monday, which is completed on time, 2 hours this took, and we are happy. We go there and say it is completed. The project for another week. Third of June. Looking. And data for 27th to 31st of May. Okay. What is? I will say it is 75% done. So I go to the task and say No issue. Now we move to the third week. On the 10th of June. The task should have finished by now, but task has not finished. Task is 50% complete, but some parts are remaining. So I will say until unless everything, those pending tasks will never happen. I way here to make it 90%. I go here and update this 90%. Now my task supposed to happen complete 100%. Am I delayed? I don't know. I really do not measure that if I am delayed or not. Actually, there is another task. This is also happening, or this has happened by now. Okay, so this is the first week itself. Suppose this has happened. I mark this as 100%. This is also in parallel, right? Suppose this has happened. Now this is not completed, but supposed to complete but not completed. Now what do you do? How do you track the deviation? The problem in the percentage complete that it does not give you a variance from the baseline. It just give you how much you have completed. It just give you how much you have completed. So if I go to view, any variance in this, it just shows that against 100 hours I have completed 90 hours and 10 hours are still remaining. And that's the drawback with this. This is the drawback with this approach, that it does not give us any variance. It just gives us how much we have completed. If that is good for you, you can use this method and go ahead. But if measuring the variance is important, you cannot do so. So I go to the view, change the entry table, and what I do, I say this. I use the next method called duration by entering duration. Track by entering duration. Track by entering duration. Drop down, right? It is a drop down here. And I use update task. Update task about duration, you say this is percentage complete, this is actual duration, this is remaining duration. Now when you go to your resource and ask your people and ask them how much time you have spent and how much, then what will they will tell that, okay, I have spent about 12 days or 13 days. For last 3 days I am not able to spend any time. Okay, now but this you cannot capture. I will maximum tell, okay, this is 12 hours of job is done, 12 days of job is done, but and I say my resource is saying that 2 days of job is still remaining. Now when I do so, 12 hours of job is done and 2 hours of the remaining, it means the total duration will become 14 days. 12 hours are done, 12 days are done and 2 days are still remaining. So total duration of the task will become 14 days. And if I say okay, this percentage get calculated or rectified. I say okay. It is actually 86%. And you say this duration has become 14 days. And now if you go to view and look at work column, you will see, if you go to the cost table and you see here a variance of 900. If you go to variance, you will see a 0.5 days, because it started on 5 days later. Though that is also not a correct situation as of now, because we have already, suppose we have traveled another week in the project. On 17th June we say we have completed this in 14 days, or suppose we completed in 13 days. Suppose we completed in 13 days. So I will go here, instead of 14 days, there are a lot of pressure on this, we must complete this, complete this. So 13 days. So we come over here, update this task, this is 30, and nothing is remaining. As soon as you make remaining duration as 0, this task will become complete because nothing is left. And this task is completed with 13 days. How much is the variance? I'll go to the work. The variance is of 4 hours. How much is the schedule variance? Is of 0.5 days. Right? Now, I have some more tasks to do. So, which is also completed. But suppose this is on 7th of June. So I will say this was completed, but instead of 5 days, it's completed in 6 days. Suppose instead of 5 days, it's completed in 6 days. So what I will do, I will select this, go to the task tab, come on here, say update task, come here 6 days, and simply leave this blank, and it says it's all done. 48 hours are taken, 6 days it's completed on 14th. Okay, this is given, but we have not received any approval. We move to the next task, and I will say in the architecture we have architecture, nothing is done. But here if we go and say that my project status hour, it took 3 hours because there are problems in the project. We discuss here, take this and put this here 3 hours, 3H. In the project for another week, May, our architecture is far better, and I will say anything great about and this task, this I can update by 2 hours here, or I can simply say 100%. Right? Try this, setting up the baseline, updating using the complete. Let's take 10 minutes and do this so that we are sure that we are done. We are learning these things. Okay, let's take 10 minutes. In case of any problem, let me know. The third type is tracking by entering the work. Now, how work is more accurate than duration. So suppose we have moved in the project for another week. Now we are on 1st of July, right? And we are tracking this project. Now we want to check that, enter the efforts people have spent on this. To do so, what we will do to enter the work, actual work, what we will do is we'll go to the task uses view. Task uses view. Okay. In the task uses view, we see both the things, the task as well as the resources assigned to it. Now, if you see this, get here. Now I'm in this. You see this, how it is happening. Now 20 hours are remaining. If I say all 80 hours are done, then the proportion of this will be distributed to technical analyst and architect in the same proportion they are allocated. The allocation of this, the distribution of the efforts will be to technical analyst and architect in such a way, in the same proportion they are allocated to the task, and they are allocated to the task in a like one is 50%, another is 100%. Therefore, in out of 60, one has taken 40, other has taken 20. Right? like this, but in this case, the scenario is little different. If I put it 80%, whatever I put, it will directly go to designer because designer is the only resource on that. Suppose this is 50. In that week he spent only 32 hours. So then you can go and put this here 32 hours. It is same, but here it is not. Suppose last week architect did not come. He didn't put any efforts. Whatever efforts put in by only technical analyst. And technically the remaining hours are 13 hours only. 54 hours, right? But that is not the case with architect. Architect's work is still pending. If I go to the Gantt chart, we see there the task is still not, because something is still pending and that the architect's work is still pending, who didn't turn up. Architect also finishes his job, this work will not be completed, though the designer has started his work on this. This is how you case if where is it? It is 60 hours, 20 hours are left. If I say here, say another 15 hours of job is done, 14 hours of job is done, then this 14 hours have been distributed among technical analyst and architect, which is not the right picture. And therefore, we put 54 hours here, then architect. And when he will come, then he will now this team meeting is also scheduled. Suppose because because architect did not come, he will not be having present in this meeting. Suppose business analyst is also absent. It means this meeting has only 2 hours of technical architect, 2 hours of tech lead, 2 hours of test lead, and 2 hours of project manager. What about business analyst and technical and architect? They were not present, so their remaining work will also be 0 because they are not going to present in this meeting anymore. So to complete this task, we will make this 0 and also this 0. So against 12 hours only, 11 hours, sorry, baseline was 10 hours, against 10 hours only 8 hours are logged. And this is the difference between the duration and the work. This way we can give different efforts to different people, and this is the natural way. It never happens that all the resources on the particular task are doing in the same way. If you have 2 people working on one task, they are going to report you different time spent on that, and that's what you need to spend this. And therefore, this is more accurate than the duration method. But It requires. It requires. In the case of one person allocated to one task, it's pretty easy. Either you update activity or update the resource, it does not matter. But in the case of where that more than one people are assigned, you need to be careful that what report has come from the individual resource. %, done. Files completed. In fact, it is 2-3 meetings are completed. Right? And this will give you on July. You can update here as well. You right click here and say I want to update actual work. So you see for every row there are two things, work and actual work, work and actual work. And you come over here and update the task on this here. I say he came over here and spent 4 hours on this day and 3 hours on, actual work. 4 hours on this day and 3 hours on this day, and this work is over. You see this is 0 now. And if you go to the Gantt chart, you see that you can enter this work also against this. So he may be presenting continuously 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. Over. If he has taken more time, maybe you can. And 2 hours of this, 2 hours of this, 1 hour of this, 2 hours of this, 2 hours of this, 1 hour of this, 10 of each. If somebody has not come, you can suppose test lead didn't come, you make it 0. And but what you need to do, you have to ensure that remaining is also 0. If remaining is not 0, it will not be completed. This is how we have to. Actually, this is not the right because this is not right actually, because the meeting happened last week here. So if I put 10, then it will be distributed. It is easy. If I spend suppose 6 here, then it will be distributed, which will not be right. So I will go and ask individual, I will say it is 2 hours, it is 2 hours, this person 2 hours, this person 0, this person 0, 2 people didn't come, and he was 2 hours. So for these 2 hours do not get scheduled to the next day, we need to make the remaining as 0. And now your task is over. So, but updating on a day-to-day basis, on a timesheet basis, this is feasible in server environment, but in a manual environment, to do this. If you do this, your resources will be waiting for you, you will not be available for them. And that is not the work of the project manager. This is to facilitate the groundwork. We spend minimum time here so that this project plan guide us what action we should take. But without taking action on the project, this plan is useless. So we should do this with judiciously, but with the minimum time what is required to meet the project objective. That's all. Many people get obsessed with MS project when they learn something, and they try to put each and every data even if it is not required. So people, the wait for project manager is not there. What he is doing, he is entering everything in the MS project. By entering everything into MS project, the project will not come in shape. And this plan facilitate a proper